Returning to file item 150, AB 726 by Assemblymember Avila Farias. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 726 by Assemblymember Avila Farias, enact related to land use.
Assemblymember Avila Farias, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. I rise to present AB 726. This bill incentivizes local government to invest in the rehabilitation of deeply affordable housing by allowing those units to count toward their housing element obligations. AB 726 supports the preservation of critical housing stock while helping jurisdictions meet their long-term housing goals. Thank you. This bill has no opposition.
Hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 61, no 0. The measure passes. File item 152, AB 731 by Assemblymember Fong. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 731 by Assemblymember Fong and others, enact related to pupil instruction.
Assemblymember Fong, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 731 proposes reforms to the College and Career Access, also known as CCAP, dual enrollment program, to remove barriers and to expand participation. AB 731 removes barriers, such as removing the requirement that the school principal approve a student's CCAP application and to streamline the application process so that the student completes only one application for the duration of their attendance at a community college. AB 731 will ensure more equitable access and enable students to accumulate college credits to get on the path to completing a higher education degree in a timely and more cost-effective manner. This bill has received bipartisan support and no votes. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Assemblymember Jeff Gonzalez, you are recognized.
I rise in proud support as a co-author of this bill and thank my colleague for his leadership in the dual enrollment process. Not only is it necessary in every single one of our counties throughout California, and I thank him for his leadership, so I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, Assemblymember Fong, would you like to close?
Thank you so much to my colleague from Coachella and the Inland Empire for his comments and for support on this as a co-author. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 64, no 0. The measure passes. File item 153, AB 734 by Assemblymember Schultz. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 734 by Assemblymember Schultz and others, enact related to environmental protection.
Assemblymember Schultz, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise to introduce AB 734. As we develop energy projects, it's important that we consider the near-term impact of development on our biodiversity, fish and wildlife habitat, and our natural landscapes while addressing the long-term impacts of climate change. AB 734 does two things. First, it would require the California Energy Commission to make important biological information available to the public in a timely manner as part of the review and comment process associated with permitting. And second, it would require that when biological survey maps are submitted to the Commission, they be available to the public for review at a scale of 1 to 6,000. AB 734 has no opposition and is sponsored by the Defenders of Wildlife. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 45, noes 12. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 154. File item 155, AB 740 by Assemblymember Harabedian. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 740 by Assemblymember Harabedian, enact related to energy.
Assemblymember Harabedian, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 740 tackles California's escalating electricity affordability crisis by requiring the state to develop a plan to scale up virtual power plants, unlocking their ability to reduce energy costs and enhance grid reliability. This bill has a support recommendation, no opposition. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 62, noes 0. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 156. item 157, AB 743 by Assemblymember Michelle Rodriguez. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 743 by Assemblymember Michelle Rodriguez and others, enact relating to financial institutions.
Assemblymember Michelle Rodriguez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Lawsuit financing, a largely unregulated financial sector, has expanded into a multi-billion-dollar industry within the United States. While originally intended to provide financial assistance to primarily non-commercial plaintiffs, commercial lawsuit financing, which funds law firms and business, has exploded. Lacking oversight or transparency, commercial lawsuit financing has increasingly become a vehicle for foreign interests and dishonest investors to engage in fraudulent activities. AB 743 would require a person or entity engaged in commercial lawsuit financing in California to obtain a license from the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. This bill would include lawsuit financing in the definition of commercial loan. The bill would require a licensee who is a lawsuit financer to maintain a surety bond. The bill would make willful violations of licensure requirements by lawsuit financers subject to a civil penalty. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Aye 63, no 0. The measure passes. File item 158, AB 759 by Assemblymember Valencia. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 759 by Assemblymember Valencia, enact relating to professions and vocations, and making an appropriation therefore.
Assemblymember Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 759 seeks to improve attrition and promote diversity in the architectural profession by allowing eligible candidates to use the title architect in training going through the process. With that, I respectfully ask for a yes vote.
Hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Aye 66, no 0. The measure passes. File item 159, AB 770 by Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 770 by Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez and others, enact relating to outdoor advertising.
Assemblymember Gonzalez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm proud to present AB 770, which will clarify and codify the term customary amendments for all outdoor advertising displays. This is support. Thank you. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Aye 61, no 0. The measure passes. We have completed item 160. We will pass and retain on item 161. Item 162, AB 782 by Assemblymember Quirk Silva. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 782 by Assemblymember Quirk Silva, enact relating to land use.
Assemblymember Quirk Silva, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 782 removes burdensome and costly double bonding requirements imposed by some local governments on developers for private improvements. Public improvement projects are required to be bonded by local government. However, private improvements are typically bonded through the California Department of Real Estate. This ensures that the developer has adequate financial assurance to complete the private work without needing local governments to be involved. This bill has support, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Aye 66, no 0. The measure passes. File item 163, AB 785 by Assemblymember Sharp Collins. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 785 by Assemblymember Sharp Collins and others, enact relating to youth.
Assemblymember Sharp Collins, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and also to my members. I rise to present Assembly Bill 785, which is a part of the Black Caucus Road to Repair package. Assembly Bill 785 will establish the Community Violence, the Interdiction Grant Program. This bill, which would be administered by the California Health and Human Services Agency, would ensure funding for community-driven solutions to decrease violence in our schools and neighborhoods as opposed to the continuation of incarceration. These funds would be savings from any future prison closure within the state. And we continually are told that there is no money for programs known to decrease violence and also reduce the incarceration. But programs like school-based health, behavioral health, youth diversion, gang reduction strategies, and increased recreational the opportunities can come from this particular funding. By using funds for these preventative programs, we will reduce the incarceration even further and focus on finding solutions to crime beyond the incarceration of most of our most vulnerable and underserved populations. So Assembly Bill 785 will allow for true rehabilitation through putting an emphasis on community, but also victims that were impacted, give them a voice, and reduce the monetary expenditures accrued on imprisonment. Not only will this bill help the state capture cost savings and increase them by reinvesting back into these programs, but it will be a revenue creator. So keep in mind, whenever we invest in our youth, we truly empower their lives, resulting in the productive and fruitful careers that invest back into the state in the form of income tax, gas tax, mortgage, and also sales tax, just to name a few. So as I wrap up here, just know that 785 is a bill that we cannot afford not to pass. So thank you so much for your time, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 52, noes 4. The measure passes. File item 164, AB 790 by Assemblymember Avila Farias. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 790 by Assemblymember Avila Farias and others, enacted related to homelessness.
Assemblymember Avila Farias, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to present AB 790. AB 790 requires local recipients of state funds to address homelessness to include women and children in vulnerable populations for whom services and housing delivery supports are developed. Members, the two fastest growing demographics for homelessness are seniors and families led by single mothers. Addressing this issue will not only help vulnerable families, but also reduce long-term state costs associated with emergency services, welfare, and intergenerational poverty. Thank you, and this bill has no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 65, noes 0. The measure passes. We'll pass and retain on file item 165. Item 166, AB 797 by Assemblymember Harabedian. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 797 by Assemblymember Harabedian, enacted relating to economic development, making an appropriation therefore, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Harabedian, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Los Angeles wildfires destroyed over 18,000 structures, leaving working and middle-class families at risk of long-term displacement and financial ruin. Insurance delays and rising rebuilding costs have opened the door to predatory investors making lowball offers on fire-damaged properties. AB 797, the Community Stabilization Act, offers a no-cost-to-taxpayers solution to stabilize communities and prevent land grabs. The bill uses zero-interest securities to allow nonprofits to buy homes at fair market value, protecting homeowners, preserving generational wealth, and keeping land in community hands. When homes are resold, investors are repaid, and the state actually makes money on this at a 5% rate. AB 797 protects families, helps prevent further displacement, and rebuilds communities, all without burdening our state budget. AB 797 has received bipartisan support and has no opposition. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 56, noes 3. On the urgency, ayes 56, noes 3 on the measure. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 167. File item 168, Assembly Bill 803 by Assemblymember Garcia. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 803 by Assemblymember Garcia, enacted related to forestry.
Assemblymember Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise today to present AB 803, School greening, which has bipartisan support and no votes. AB 803 would update the Urban Forestry Act of 1978 to clarify CAL FIRE's role in school greening and make minor changes aligning with the goals and objectives of their urban and community forestry program. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 67, noes 0. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 169. File item 170, AB 822 by Assemblymember El-Hawari. You're recognized. Oh, pardon me. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 822 by Assemblymember El-Hawari, enacted in the state government.
Assemblymember El-Hawari, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker and members. Happy Pride. I'm proud to present AB 822, which would extend the State of Hate sunset date for the Commission to January 1st, 2031. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 53, noes 2. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 171. File item 172, AB 827 by Assemblymember Berman. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 827 by Assemblymember Berman, enacted into elections.
Assemblymember Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 827 would provide greater certainty for voters that need to cure vote-by-mail ballot signature deficiencies and have their vote counted. Under current law, if there's a missing or non-matching signature on the vote-by-mail ballot envelope, the voter has until 5 p.m., 2 days prior to the certification of the election to cure the deficiency. This bill would establish a uniform date, providing that elections officials must accept ballot cures until the 22nd day after the election, as well as make several other improvements to this process. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 48, noes 1. The measure passes. File item 173, AB 833 by Assemblymember Alvarez. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 833 by Assemblymember Alvarez, and accolade the teachers.
Assemblymember Alvarez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm proud to stand in presenting Assembly Bill 833, the Binational Teachers Expansion Act. This is a critical step to addressing the shortage of teachers here in California. We have over 1 million students who are English learners. That's about 20% of our student population. We need to make sure that we have the teachers that are prepared to serve these students. That's what this bill would do. It would modernize California's existing program of teacher exchanges, which was established in 1986 to address the most pressing educational needs of today, ensuring that we have the competent teachers in the dual language classrooms for biliteracy education, bilingual education, and also to serve the students who are bilingual themselves or who are English learners. And for that reason, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 63, noes 1. The measure passes. File item 174, AB 836 by Assemblymember Stephanie. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 836 by Assemblymember Stephanie and others, enacted into maternal care.
Assemblymember Stephanie, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise to present AB 836, the Midwifery Workforce Training Act, which is a priority bill for the Legislative Women's Caucus. California is facing a reproductive and maternity care crisis in this state. A severe shortage of maternal health providers is one of the top factors driving this crisis. Midwifery care has been shown to have excellent clinical outcomes, reduce disparities, and lower healthcare costs, but it is vastly underutilized. California currently has no licensed midwife programs and only one nurse midwifery program accepting students. Certified nurse midwives and licensed midwives collectively attend approximately 40% of the births in California. Targeted investment in growing this workforce could help address shortages across the state. AB 36 directs the state to conduct a comprehensive landscape analysis of midwifery education in California, mapping out what exists, what's missing, and how we can grow a diverse, high-quality pipeline of providers in this space. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 60, noes 2. The measure passes. File item 175, AB 841 by Assemblymember Patel. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 841 by Assemblymember Patel, and accolading to the State Fire Marshal.
Assemblymember Patel, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise today to present AB 841. 841 addresses the increasing exposure to toxic chemicals that firefighters face during lithium-ion battery fires. This bill will convene a working group to recommend improved personal protective equipment, PPE, and the decontamination procedures to keep firefighters safe and healthy. It received unanimous support in both policy and fiscal committees, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Assemblymember Ahrens, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a quick question. Is this your first bill, Assemblymember? It is? You can address that in your close.
Assemblymember Patel, would you like to close?
Yes, indeed, this is my first bill, and it's a very important one. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 65, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 176, AB 843 by Assemblymember Garcia. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 843 by Assemblymember Garcia, and accolading to healthcare coverage.
Members, please give your respectful attention to Assemblymember Garcia. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise today to present AB 843, Safeguarding Language Access Programs, which is sponsored by the Insurance Commissioner and has received bipartisan support. Currently, over 6.5 million residents, a quarter of the state, have lived in the U.S. for less than 5 years and have limited English proficiency. These individuals disproportionately experience gaps in health insurance coverage and are 3 times more likely to be uninsured than those who speak English proficiently. Those with limited English proficiency are at risk for longer hospital stays, surgical delays, and greater risk of hospital readmission resulting from poor communication. Patients sometimes have no choice but to depend on their children, other family, or friends to translate critical medical information. They should have access to legitimate translation and interpretation services. AB 843 will align our state laws with the Affordable Care Act's language action protections to ensure language accessibility and improve overall healthcare outcomes for all. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 56, noes 1. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 177. File item 178, AB 848 by Assemblymember Soria. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 848 by Assemblymember Soria, and accolading to crimes.
Assemblymember Soria, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 848 is a step forward in putting our patients' safety first when they enter a hospital. This bill brings stronger sentencing in cases of felony sexual battery. This will bring to light the injustices that are taking place when felony sexual battery is committed by a hospital employee against a patient. In recent years, California has seen a series of high-profile cases of medical professionals sexually assaulting large number of their patients over multiple years. This cannot continue. I was moved to author this bill after hearing the harrowing stories of women from my district who came forward to share their accounts of an ultrasound technician preying on them while they were at their most vulnerable and who is now on trial for his alleged crimes. These profound betrayals of the sacred trust patients place in those who are supposed to heal and care for them can have devastating and lasting consequences. One of the women who was allegedly preyed on by the ultrasound tech in my district was so deeply traumatized that she could not bring herself to go back to her city's only hospital to receive the treatment for an underlying health issue, and she died as a result. California law already recognizes that the significant power imbalance between an employer and an employee merits aggravating sentences in cases of felony sexual battery. Yet there is no similar aggravating factor for a medical professional sexually battering their patients. AB 848 recognizes the uniquely vulnerable nature of hospital patients and their serious nature of sexual abuse committed against them. By codifying an aggravating factor when a hospital employee sexually batters a hospital patient in the sentencing of felony sexual battery, AB 848 will facilitate an appropriate sentencing to the fullest extent of the law in these cases while still preserving judicial discretion. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 63, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 179, AB 851 by Assemblymember McKinner. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 851 by Assemblymember McKinner, an accolade to real estate and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember McKinner, you are recognized.
Yes, Madam Speaker and members, AB 851 would codify Governor Newsom's executive order to extend homeowner protections for families impacted by the January 2025 Eaton and Palisade fire from unsolicited, below-market offers on residential properties until 2027. AB 851 provides important protections to all families impacted by the Eaton and Palisades fires and is an important part of LA County's efforts to rebuild from the devastating natural disaster. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 56, noes 5 on the urgency. Ayes 56, noes 5 on the measure. The measure passes.
Members, we're going to pass and retain on file item 180. Brings us file item 181, AB 864 by Assemblymember Ward. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 864 by Assemblymember Ward, an accolade to hazardous waste.
Assemblymember Ward, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, California has one of the largest solar markets in the United States, supplying almost 30% of its electricity. And of course, this capacity continues to grow rapidly. But with all that positive growth and equipment that has a productive lifespan of about 20 or 25 years, we have to get ahead of our waste and recycling regulations lest our landfills become inundated. AB 864 helps to be able to support more of these solar PV modules going towards legitimate solar recycling facilities as authorized under state, federal law, and regulations. For these reasons, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ward. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 65, no 0. The measure passes. Brings us to file item 182, AB 866 by Assemblymember Ortega. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 866 by Assemblymember Ortega, an accolade to business practices.
Assemblymember Ortega, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 866 is a support bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 65, no 0. The measure passes. File item 183, AB 869 by Assemblymember Irwin. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 869 by Assemblymember Irwin, enacting the state government.
Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 869 directs state agencies to adopt zero trust architecture. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Irwin. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 63, no 0. The measure passes. We're going to pass on file item 184. Brings us to file item 185, AB 880. State your point, Leader Gallagher.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Next up on the file was item number 184, which is set to be up and presented today. And I ask that that matter be taken up, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Thank you, Leader Gallagher. Your motion requires a second. Okay, seconded by Ms. Castillo. This motion is not debatable. It takes a majority of those present and voting this is a procedural vote. Actually, just one moment, Leader Gallagher. Excuse me, Leader Gallagher, you were not making a motion, you were making a point of order, and your point is out of order. It is the discretion of this body to take up items on the file. Excuse me, I'm speaking with Leader Gallagher. Leader Gallagher?
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, there's been an appeal of the ruling of the chair. Again, this is not debatable. Madam Majority Leader, you are recognized.
I move to lay the appeal on the table.
That requires a second. Seconded by Assemblymember Schultz. State your point, Leader Gallagher.
Yes, I believe an appeal of the decision of this chair is a motion to lay on the table. An appeal is not in order and is not permitted.
Thank you, Leader Gallagher. It is in order. It has been moved and seconded by Mr. Schultz. Yes, Leader Gallagher.
I appeal the decision of the chair.
First, we must dispense with the motion that is on the floor right now, and then we will come back to that. There is a motion and a second. This motion is not debatable. It takes majority of those present and voting. This is a procedural motion to lay the motion on the table. The clerk will open the roll. The Majority Leader is asking for an aye vote. Leader Gallagher is asking for a no vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 47, noes 18. The motion is laid on the table. The motion to appeal the ruling of the chair is laid on the table. Do you wish to make another motion?
Appeal the decision of the chair.
Leader Gallagher, for your benefit, the benefit of all members, Assembly Rule 82. An appeal may not be amended and yields only to a motion to recess or adjourn or to lay on the table or a question of personal privilege. If appeal is laid on the table, that action shall have no effect on the pending question. State your point, Leader Gallagher.
We are going out of order. there was a bill that was up, and all I'm asking for, Mr. Chair, is the same respect of all members here, that when their bills are up, that they be heard in order. And so I believe that that is the proper order of this body, and all I'm asking is that we get back to that proper order. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Leader Gallagher. I appreciate your question and appreciate your point of order. Your point is out of order. We have rules that were adopted by this body earlier in the session that enables the chair to go in any order at the discretion of the chair. It's the discretion of this body to take up some bills and not other bills, and that is what's happening today. State your point.
I move to adjourn. Recess.
Are you making a motion or are you a point of order?
I'm making a motion to recess until 8:30 p.m. tonight.
You were recognized for a point of order. State your point?
I'm making a motion to recess, which is allowed under the rules at any time, recess until 7:30 p.m. tonight, so that cooler heads may prevail and the restoration of legislative decorum may occur. 7:30 p.m. tonight.
Just a moment, Mr. DeMaio. I don't know about cooler heads, but just a moment. We'll get right back to you. Mr. DeMaio, if you wish to speak to the clerk, you may. Madam Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Substitute motion.
State your motion, Madam Majority Leader.
Motion is to continue with the daily file.
Madam Majority Leader has made a substitute motion to continue with the daily file that has been seconded by Mr. Gibson. State your point, Mr. DeMaio.
A motion to recess must be voted on. It does have priority, and it also can be spoken to.
Mr. DeMaio, you are out of order.
Second.
It is subject to a substitute motion. We're going to continue with the substitute motion. Majority Leader has made a substitute motion, seconded by Mr. Gibson. The first step is whether or not to accept the substitute motion to replace the main motion. This requires a majority of those that are present and voting. It is not a vote on the merits of the substitute. It is whether or not to accept the substitute motion. If the substitute motion is accepted, the main motion falls away. The new motion is put before the body for consideration and a vote on its merits. If the substitute motion is not accepted, it is discarded, then we return to the main motion pending before the body. The Majority Leader's substitute motion is therefore properly before us. Clerk will open the roll on whether or not to accept the Majority Leader's substitute motion in place of the main motion. The Majority Leader is asking for an aye vote on accepting the substitute motion. Mr. DeMaio is asking for a no vote to accept the substitute motion. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 51, noes 18. The House has decided to accept the substitute motion. Therefore, we'll now have a new main motion, which we can take up now. Madam Majority Leader, do you wish to make a motion to take up business on the daily file?
I move to continue with the daily file.
Excuse me, Madam Majority Leader, that motion is actually already there. It has been moved and seconded. We will take a vote on that. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. Get seconded by Mr. Gibson. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 54, noes 17. The motion carries. Continuing on business on the daily file. File item 185, AB 880 by Assemblymember Bennett. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 880 by Assemblymember Bennett and others enacting the state government.
Assemblymember Bennett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, it gives me great pleasure to introduce AB 880. It ensures that nonprofit organizations receive prompt payment and fair compensation from the state for the true cost of providing services funded by grants. It does so by closing a loophole in the state's Prompt Payment Act and improving coverage of nonprofits' indirect cost. The state relies heavily on nonprofits to help put critical policies into action and serve our most vulnerable communities. This legislation improves how the state contracts with nonprofits. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bennett. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 66, noes 0. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain on file item 186. That brings us to file item Actually, folks, we are going to take a break right now from the file order in order to do a very important adjourn in memory on the floor. The quorum call has not been lifted. Members, if you could halt your conversations for a moment, or if you need to continue them, please take them off the floor while we give our respectful attention to Assemblymember Bauer Kahan, who is recognized for her adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to adjourn in the memory of Mendel Dell Kahan, my father-in-law. Dell was born on February 11th, 1975 in Beverly Hills, but he liked to say the flat part of Beverly Hills because his family was very modest compared to his peers. His father was a Jewish immigrant from Latvia, his mother a Christian Southern Belle from Tennessee. Dell said he had the perfect childhood with his two sisters. He helped his father with the family liquor store anytime he could, attended Jewish services at synagogue to carry on the traditions of his father, and took every opportunity to work with cars, one of Dell's lifelong passions. Dell was bright and artistic. He could always outdraw me anytime we tried to draw together, but also had undiagnosed learning differences, which caused him to struggle deeply with his education. He found it difficult to stay in school and clashed with authority. May sound familiar. Even in grade school. This was back in the days of corporal punishment, and Dell would tell a story of grabbing the whipping stick from the school principal and trying to hit the principal with it. Needless to say, Dell moved schools frequently until he successfully finished high school at a military academy. But Dell leveraged his learning impediments to find a deep independence and strength, two character traits that would ultimately serve him throughout his life. Outside of academics, Dell was an incredibly friendly man. He wanted to help everybody and anybody. Friends remember thinking twice about even mentioning a problem in front of Dell because he would show up unannounced with tools in hand and spend untold hours fixing whatever was wrong. He also pushed himself very hard to succeed in everything he tried. He was a bodybuilder before it was popular. He was self-taught about all things mechanical or electronic around him, always offering to fix my computer. He studied history and kept up with politics and world affairs. Through mutual friends, Dell met his future wife and lifelong love, Barbara. They had two boys, Darren and Brandon, and they moved to the San Fernando Valley. He was a successful salesman with a bright future when he suddenly fell ill in 1981. He had intestinal blockage, but he was so lucky to survive. But his life completely changed from that point forward. Barbara went back to work as an elementary school teacher, and in spite of incredible pain and daily suffering, Dell felt compelled to start his own business in advertising, where he created clients out of the neighborhood businesses he frequented, such as the pharmacy and his favorite deli. His medical challenges came to dominate his life. He battled shortened bowel syndrome, chronic pain, a spinal injury from a car accident, lymphoma, COPD, and more. But none of that stopped him from living every day to the fullest. He used to wonder what else could possibly be thrown at him to test his strength. And honestly, I don't think anything could have been. But through all of this, Del was a caring and present father to his two sons and a loving and deeply protective husband to his beautiful wife. Although to her chagrin, he would let Darren stay home on Mondays from school because his days were better when his boys were at home. Del loved life. Even in days when he was in pain, was at its worst, and the future was uncertain, he would say that every day is a gift, and he would find a way to exercise his strength and independence to push through. Just a week before he passed, he said that he looked forward to the next chapter of his life with his beautiful wife when he got out of the hospital. His optimism for tomorrow was endless and is something that his sons and his wife remember him for most. We lost Del on March 29th after a long battle for another day. But family was everything to Del, and he would be so grateful that we were remembering him today and that his son, his wife, and two of his grandchildren were here today to remember him. He was such a loving grandfather, always finding ways to connect with his grandchildren about the things they loved most, be it trains, cars, or artwork. Del's memory will be a blessing to those that survive him, including his wife, his two sons, his daughters-in-law, Francesca Cahan, and me, and his 5 grandchildren. Zichrono Livracha, let us adjourn today in his blessed memory. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan. Members, let us observe a moment of silence for this historic California. Members, we will now be returning to business on the daily file. We're going to pass and retain on file item 186. We now move on to file item 187, AB 887 by Assemblymember Berman. Just a moment, Mr. Berman. The clerk will read
Assembly Bill 887 by Assemblymember Berman and others, enacting the pupil instruction.
Assemblymember Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 887 requires school districts and charter schools to adopt a plan to ensure all high schools offer at least one computer science course by the 2029-2030 school year. This bill provides a thoughtful, phased-in approach with additional flexibility measures to ensure schools have both the time and flexibility to implement this successfully. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Berman. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 53, no 0. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain on file items 188 through 191. Brings us to file item 192, AB 908 by Assemblymember Salache. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 908 by Assemblymember Salache, enacting to educational equity.
Assemblymember Salache, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, as we celebrate Pride Month, I'm honored to present AB 908, the LGBTQ+ Inclusion and Fair Treatment in Schools Act. This legislation will help California schools achieve a truly supportive, inclusive, and safe environments for students. AB 908 simply adds compliance monitoring that will existing requirement in the Education Code regarding inclusive curriculum and textbooks. AB 908 is sponsored by Equality California and is an LGBTQ caucus priority. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Solace. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 44, noes 13. The measure passes. Brings us to file item 193, AB 911 by Assemblymember Carrillo. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 911 by Assemblymember Carrillo and others, and relating to air pollution.
Assemblymember Carrillo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present Assembly Bill 911, which seeks to provide a narrow exemption to the CARB Advanced Clean Fleet regulations, specifically for bucket trucks and sails on wheels. These vehicles are critical for maintaining reliable telecommunications services, especially during emergencies. AB 911 helps guarantee that necessary vehicles can continue to respond quickly and effectively when Californians need them most. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Carrillo. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, noes 1. The measure passes. Pass and retain on file item 194. Brings us to file item 195, AB 913, by our Assistant Speaker Pro Tem. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 913 by Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, and relating to housing.
Assemblymember Rodriguez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 913 will help protect the state's investment in existing affordable housing developments. This is support. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rodriguez. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 0. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain on file item number 196. We're going to pass temporarily on file item 197. Pass and retain on file item 198, 199. That brings us to file item 200, AB 947. By Assemblymember Connolly, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 947 by Assemblymember Connolly and others, and relating to agriculture and making an appropriation therefore.
Assemblymember Connolly, you are recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. AB 947 proposes several amendments to the Climate Smart Technical Assistance Program to ensure all farmers can access the Healthy Soils Program, promoting climate smart practices across California. This bill will also require CDFA to provide increased flexibility to farming nonprofits to support farmers and ranchers in the application process for grants and allow for equipment sharing as part of the grants awarded. The bill has bipartisan support and no opposition on file. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Connolly. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 63, noes 0. The measure passes. Okay, coming in the door, file item 201, AB 954 by Assemblymember Bennett. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 954 by Assemblymember Bennett and others, and relating to transportation.
Assemblymember Bennett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 954 establishes a pilot program through Caltrans for the establishment of bike highways in 2 separate metropolitan areas. The establishment of bike highways has been successful in a number of international cities, including Copenhagen, London, and Bogota. In London, the city's developed cycleways, which are intended to reach 40% of city residents by 2030. Currently, the city has established over 60 cycleways. In 2022, Caltrans released a study, Caltrans Bay Area Bike Highway Study, which looked at best practices and long-term steps. I might add that with the development and the promotion of electric bicycles, bike highways become even a better attraction for people to find an alternative to a vehicle. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bennett. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 48, no 17. The measure passes. We're on to file item 202, AB 957 by Assemblymember Ortega. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 957 by Assemblymember Ortega and others, enacting the cigarette and tobacco products.
Assemblymember Ortega, you are recognized.
I rise to present AB 957, Tobacco-Free Pharmacies. This bill has bipartisan support and has no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ortega. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 50, noes 4. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain on file item number 203. We're going to pass on file item 204. Get to file item 205, AB 960 by Assemblymember Garcia. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 960 by Assemblymember Garcia, enacting the health facilities.
Assemblymember Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise today to present AB 960, Patient Visitation Rights, which has bipartisan support and no opposition. AB 960 will allow the caregivers of people living with a physical, intellectual, or developmental disability, cognitive impairment, or demonstrated dementia needs to stay with their loved one beyond standard hospital visiting hours. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Garcia. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 64, no 0. The measure passes. We're going to go backwards to a missed item, file item 197, AB 932 by Assemblymember Irwin. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 932 by Assemblymember Irwin and others, enacting to discrimination.
Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 932 increases equity for girls in youth athletics. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Irwin. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 52, noes 1. The measure passes. We're back in file order, file item 206, AB 961 by Assemblymember Avila Farias. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 961 by Assemblymember Avila Farias, enacting the hazardous materials.
Assemblymember Avila Farias, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise to present AB 961, which seeks to extend the California Land Use and Revitalization Act for 10 years. The CLRRA plays a vital role in supporting safe cleanup and redevelopment of properties impacted by hazardous materials while limiting liability for those committing revitalization in these sites. If the law is allowed to sunset, we risk delaying or derailing critical development projects, particularly in communities that are the most in need of environmental restoration and economic investment. AB 961 has received unanimous support and faces no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Avila Farias. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 67, no 0. The measure passes. Continuing on, file item 207, AB 963 by Assemblymember Petrie Norris. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 963 by Assemblymember Petrie Norris, enacting to Public Works.
Assemblymember Petrie Norris, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 963 will allow the Department of Labor Standards and Employment to request a limited scope of documents from a private company that is utilizing public funds on a development project. By granting this authority, the public will have confidence that taxpayer dollars are being spent in a manner that is consistent with existing public contract and labor codes, and that the required prevailing wage requirements are being met and enforced. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on AB 963.
Thank you, Assemblymember Petrie Norris. All debate having ceased, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 56, noes 4. On to file item number 208, AB 979 by Assemblymember Irwin. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 979 by Assemblymember Irwin, an accolade to technology.
Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 979 creates the California AI Cybersecurity Playbook, supporting the responsible development and deployment of AI. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Irwin. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 66, noes 0. The measure passes. Members, you're doing a great job. We're trucking right along here. Keep it up.